Hi everybody, I'm Jesse Newman, and this video is an overview of a project called Soulscapes, which is a series of short films I'm creating for my kids to share some thoughts about life and death and spirituality. This first film, Sand, Water, Fire, is the phase from birth until death, and there's a lot of symbolism throughout it. In it, the sand represents the human world, the variety of human experiences. Water represents the spirit world, where the ocean is the source of the soul. And fire represents one's ego. Essentially, it's a reflection on the importance of staying connected to our spiritual sides, regardless of what's happening on our human sides. And we start off with this baby at the edge of the ocean, with her ego descending in the form of a flame. And after briefly wandering through the desert, she's beginning to experience the material world, and she's playing in it, enjoying it. And she looks over and sees the ocean, and she's drawn back to it, and immediately recognizes it as her origin, the source of her being, and she has this reverence for it. And throughout the whole piece, I was reversing the footage to show the ocean receding, pulling back as she's getting older. So we transition to her as a young child, where she's got more experience, more familiarity with the terrain, and she's been able to establish a better balance between the spirit and material worlds. However, there's times where she's still clinging onto the spirit world and doesn't allow herself to explore. And sometimes when she is exploring the human world, there's moments where she faces the unknown, represented here by sort of a dark, foreboding canyon that disappears the moment she takes that step forward. And the message here is that at times we need to have the courage to take that step without knowing how we're going to land. Now the child's a little bit older, and as he emerges from the ocean, the waves are continuing to recede, and his curiosity about the material world is growing. And although he comes from the ocean, he's made of the water, there's this fire inside of him, his sense of self, which is beginning to burn brighter. Part of the human experience is death, represented by the skull on the sand, and years past we cut to this similar shot where he's now an adult. And this series of shots shows someone completely consumed by human interests, depicted by pouring the sand over himself. He's detached from the spirit world. And he comes across this skull, and when he does, he considers the implications of death, which can be an opportunity to provide context to his life. It's a chance to reevaluate priorities. And this is the catalyst for his awakening. It's an awakening that can happen at the moment of death, but ideally well before that, and perhaps many times and in various forms, so that the lessons can be incorporated into one's life. So there's these series of flashbacks that amplify this insight, and he experiences ego death, which is represented here by his head bursting into flames. And side note, that was a can of rubber cement that I poured on my head and lit, and I didn't realize how flammable it was going to be. So his ego death, it's disorienting at first, but he starts to integrate this new awareness, and he reconnects with his spirit, which is the blue light now emanating from within. And he shakes off the vestiges of his past. And the ego, it's integral to someone's identity, but this process allows him to keep it in balance with the flames in control at a safe distance. And this brings us to his human death, in which the water rushes in, begins to return him to the spirit world. He's immersed in this ocean of souls, drawn to this light, preparing to transition into the next phase, which will be a short film that depicts the moment after death. And that's something I'm working on right now. So among other things, this film is a reflection on finding balance in life, not allowing the human and material interests to consume you by keeping one metaphorical foot in the water. When the ego weeps for what it has lost, the spirit rejoices for what it has found. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this explanation helps. And if you'd like more information about this project or my other artwork, you can visit jessenewman.com. Feel free to connect with me on social media, or you could subscribe here. All right. Thank you. Have a great day.